and Jeff isn't 10 times more popular than I am.
Yeah.
And all I'm looking for is an opportunity. And if you'll give me the opportunity here or SmackDown or wherever it may be, that's all I want. And I'll take advantage
Quit
of
comparing you to Jeff. Start comparing you to other people on the roster.
Yeah,
and
no,
say,
not even that. Don't compare me to Jeff. Just don't compare me.
Yeah, just take me at who I am.
Just take me at face value and look at me. Why are you comparing?
It doesn't have to be either or.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, we're two people who have a lot of different things we can contribute. And then when I went to SmackDown, the first night I turned on Jeff. It was in Seattle, and we actually had two shots back to back. Raw was there and SmackDown was there, and I remember just hearing a couple days before, well, you're going to be staying for SmackDown because you're going on Tuesday. And I remember I turned on Jeff that night and gave him a Twisted Fate, and like half the crowd cheered, and half the crowd booed, and they just thought that Jeff was so loved and nobody gave a fuck about me. That's honest to God what they thought, because that's what they believed, and like what they believe is what becomes reality, to them. It's scary. But anyway, that had happened, and I Twisted Fated him, and really there were a ton of cheers, there were some boos. And then I went to SmackDown the next night, and I know on SmackDown they had me come out, and just like Shannon Moore and Shane Helms playing off our real-life friendship, they had a situation where some guys were jumping them after the match, and they started making a comeback, and they fought these guys off up and nailed them both out of the rings. Then my music hit, and I came to the ring and acted like I was their savior, like I made the save for them. And then I remember I hugged them both and held their hands up, and I made them pick me up on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was that they were going to turn me into was like a delusional guy who always thought I was much better than my brother, who would sit there and go, well, hey, my brother may be 10 times more popular than I am, but I don't think he's 10 times more popular than me. He's not. I'm more popular than him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the spin they put on that.
Yeah.
And the following week after that, we were in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And it's just, man, we have a strong grassroots following. And it's not just Jeff, it's me too, in North Carolina. And I remember we went there, and they had a lot of good stuff for me there. I remember I ran out and made the same kind of deal, made the pseudo save for those two guys, and got a huge reaction. Like that was kind of the ongoing joke, like in commentary. They said, "Oh my God, Matt Hardy, he is getting a huge reaction, but he thinks it's 3 times as big or whatever." Because it was Fayetteville too, and there's so many family and friends there, and just people that support me because I'm from that area.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, we go out there, and you probably will get a big reaction. They openly admitted that. And they said, and then when you come back, we're going to do a thing where you can just take credit for making the save for these guys, tell them how great you are, or whatever, and then say, if you didn't think that reaction was big, then watch this. I'll go back out, and I'll make another entrance, and my reaction will be, twice as big, 3 times as big. And he said, just go to all the corners, just go until they boo the shit out of you, and they won't cheer for you anymore. And I went out. It was a very big reaction again. I went to each corner, and they cheered, they cheered, they cheered. They never stopped cheering. You know what I mean? There was no boos. They said those. And
were you happy with this, that they were cheering, or would you actually rather have had them?
I honestly, I was happy because I knew kind of what they were doing too. But I knew like at some point I would have to get in the groove of doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just like, it's kind of like proving your point in an
That's
odd
what I was
way.
thinking, yeah.
But anyway, I do this, and I had a small match with Chavo Guerrero, and it's something where, once again, I was distracted, and he beat me. We did a thing at the end, and this was my line too. I remember I ran this specifically by Vince to see if he would care if I say it. They had the ref mic'd. And I said, I can't believe this. Matt Hardy losing in Fayetteville? You screwed me. I said, this is a bigger travesty. This is a bigger travesty than Bret Hart being screwed in Montreal, or something along those lines. And everybody's like, well, this guy is delusional, which that was real cool. And like I remember asking Vince about that. I said, is that too much? Can I say that? He's going, oh, yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
He was like real into what I was doing at that time. And I think it was the following week after that I did a pre-tape, and that's where I was doing the pre-tape. And I bust him on the version 1 thing, and he thought it was cool. And I remember it was a pre-tape where Steph was in charge, and I did something at the end, or she came walking through, and I said, Matt Hardy, version 1. And she stopped, cut. Why are you saying that? I said, well, I've kind of been doing that on TV, and that's kind of my hand sign and the character I'm wanting to go. And she's going, well, I hate to break it to you, but that's never going to get over.
And you had been doing this on television, and she just hadn't seen it?
Well, I think she did see it, but I just don't think she was really a fan of it.
Yeah, okay.
And I said, well, I mean, if you don't want me to do it, I won't, but I believe it could work if you just give me the opportunity to do it. I mean, that was just like one thing. It was just, I still really believe if you have somebody that has a concept of what they're doing, you got to give them some free reign, man. You got to let them go out there and either succeed on their own or fail on their own. That's the only way you learn.
Yeah.
And you got to have people that are able to think on their feet.
And how did you talk back to her? I mean, were you respectfully?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I always am. I mean, it's just, sure, that's exactly how I said there. I said, well, if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it.
Yeah.
But I would love to do it if you think it's fine, and at least try it, give it an opportunity, and then if nothing happens out of it, then I won't.
Yeah.
And
you basically got the green light from her then to at least go ahead and...
She said, okay, that's fine, you can try it. And then like after a couple weeks, it was definitely caught on.
Yeah. It's like when Vince didn't understand 316. What is this?
Right, sure.
I mean, again, I don't want to.
Right.
V1 never got the chance to be 316,
Right.
but nevertheless, it's
Right.
McMahon sometimes don't have, whether it's Stephanie or Vince, they don't always see something that everyone else is seeing or that the wrestler themselves sees.
Right, and sometimes, I mean, it's not even all the way to be seen. It's not all the way there where you can see that it's going to happen, but
Yeah.
you have to give things a chance.
Yep.
You know, it's just like if you plant a seed, you just can't automatically expect it to be there the next day. You have to give it a little time to grow and cultivate, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, go ahead and march through now. You've got V1 going, you're a singles wrestler, you're on SmackDown. Are you happy with what the creative freedom you have and the latitude you've been given?
Yeah, it was really, and I remember just speaking with one of the writers, and they said something, I remember I had something that was pretty cool on TV that I was going to do. I don't remember specifically what it was, but then I remember getting a call and said, just for the record, like, you're not doing that now, you're wrestling Undertaker in the main event on SmackDown. Really? Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, we did that, and that started tying into the Brock angle. Then I actually got tied right up in that, and I actually worked Taker like 4 weeks back to back, and actually got, you know, one win by count out, and then actually one win in a no DQ match, Falls Count Anywhere, where Brock interfered and actually pinned him, which was pretty cool. Just to say that, you know, you have pinned the Undertaker, because not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you got there, it's the fact is that you got there.
Did you feel he gave you enough at that point, or do you wish you would have gotten maybe a little more? Because it did. My memory, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my memory is after that 4 weeks, I don't think you came out of it stronger in the sense that you were treated as somebody who was nearly at his level.
Right.
You came away stronger for having worked with Taker. That's a great opportunity.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it's kind of a combination of both. A little disappointment,
Yeah.
but I won't trade it in.
Yeah, but definitely, you know, coming off where I was coming before, being on Heat every week, even having these great matches, you know, you can't beat it going with the guy who's the longest reigning person in the company and,
Yeah.
you know, the top star
Yep.
on that show. So, you know, I definitely wasn't going to complain.
It wasn't perfect, but
and
it was
he was good to work with, and he was really easy. I mean, he wanted things his way, but he was very easy to work with, and I have a ton of respect for him because he is definitely willing to work with guys. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
like he's not. I'm not getting in the ring with him and lowering myself to that level. I mean, he's definitely willing to.
Yeah.
And
But Steve Austin got a rap for that. I mean, he had different reasons in each. You have to judge each situation individually, but Taker does have a rep for kind of taking guys and going, no, I'll try to make somebody.
And
He doesn't always do the best thing with them, but he will work with them.
I'll tell you what. Right towards the end of the thing, like we wrestled for those 4 weeks. It's almost 4. I think it was either 3 or 4 weeks back to back that we wrestled on TV. He's like, God, he said, when are we going to stop wrestling? You know, but we did a deal where I did a promo one week, which was actually real cool. It was definitely, it was the first time I probably did an in-ring promo. It was like the opening segment of the show and a long promo, and it went really well. And that's
Are you in the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the
and
ring.
that was that the first time you had done an in-ring
Yes,
feature
yes.
promo? Because
Yeah,
that's a big deal
it
to
was.
get to
Yeah,
that stage.
yeah, and it was the open of the show too.
Yeah.
And it was an in-ring feature promo, and I had a ton of heat that night. I remember it was really good because it's just from doing this stuff with Taker. I mean, you know, one thing that I think some people don't understand is like it's okay. Like you need to be credible. Like you said, I think you need a little more offense, but sometimes. Even in getting heat, sometimes you can still be successful in just getting your ass beat as far as making people dislike you because you're like such a punk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Especially if you come back the next week acting cocky,
Right.
like nothing happened.
you know, so anyway, I remember just having that first promo, and there was a lot of we want Jeff, there was a lot of you suck and whatever, but it was really well, things were going good, and we did a deal where he came and intervened, and it was where he broke his hand the week before, and I remember we had a brawl, and it was not going to be as much as it was, but he made it into more, and he actually. There were things that he suggested to me about doing that really were to help me specifically. He's like, well, no, you should do this and do this to me, and I'll take more time, and I'll let you do this. And, and where it was like, really, I could tell he was looking at me going like...
He was being generous.
Well, not only that, he was looking at me going, he's got potential.
Okay.
And that's absolutely what said to me. He's got potential, and I want to help this guy because he could be somebody that could help make money around here. He could be somebody that I could work with or against down the road. And it was just like, he wasn't treating me as just like, writing me off as just like some guy he's forced to work with. He's like, this is a guy that I'd like to help because he's a pretty good guy, and also I think he's got some talent.
And so where did you go after that 4 weeks with Taker? Did things go up or down or stay the same?
Things, it's very odd. Actually, they went to their Hell in a Cell match, and there was actually talk of me doing like a big bump from the top of the Hell in a Cell during that thing, which kind of at that point, I didn't think it meant too much then because stuff had already been done, and like, like if the big thing was Taker and Brock, there's no use in me going out there and killing myself and then taking a bump that's going to like be the only thing talked about in the match, and then I'm not really going to do anything afterwards. And then plus, like, I didn't really feel like jeopardizing my health at that point. So then it was not a bad thing, but that didn't happen, and then just had a couple weeks.
Did you turn it down, or did they just kind of, the idea was there and then just
it was kind of there, and like just kind of, we just threw it around. It's like we decided kind of not to do it. But anyway, we had a couple weeks. I was going to actually do some stuff with Mysterio and Edge at that point. And that's where not to speculate, I don't know their ears, but somewhere internally it got changed to A-Train instead of being me, and it was something that Paul Heyman had specifically written for me because Paul Heyman was a pretty big behind me at that point.
Yes.
And Adam and I, being close friends, wanted to work together. And Ray, I just hadn't known him too long, but we were excited about having the opportunity to do some stuff together. So somewhere along there was somebody that changed it and pulled me out and put A-Train.
And what's the story on that? What's your theory? What have you been told, even if you don't know for sure? What's your hunch?
I don't know. I kind of what I've heard is just that Johnny Ace and Fit Finlay, a couple of guys from they were WCW guys originally, just thought that A-Train would fit in that role better than me.
And do you think Undertaker was kind of A-Train's guy, or A-Train was Undertaker's guy too? I mean, Taker was formed. Do you think Taker interjected, or Taker was pretty high on you at that point?
Yeah, I don't think Taker did.
Yeah.
Taker liked A-Train a lot.
Yeah.
But I really think it was just, that Johnny and Fit really would rather see A-Train have that slot than me.
And was it to spite you, or because they believed in A-Train, or I mean, can you kind of, knowing their situation, the politics of everything that's happened since then, do you think it was out of spite based on something?
It's possible.
Yeah. And why is that?
Once again, I don't want to speculate, but I don't know.
Yeah. And what happened with Johnny Ace? I mean, we almost have to kind of rewind for a second. We'll jump back. Because it's a big part of your departure from WWE too. Mm-hmm. What happened with Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, and Fit Finlay, and I don't know if Dean Malenko was a part of it. What happened that put you on the opposite side of them?
Honestly, I don't know as far as like what really did. But the one instance I can think of where there was a little altercation is I had a match with the Hurricane one night on a house show somewhere in Montana. We had a really good match. Super happy with everything, and I remember Fit just kind of critiqued it the next day. This is right after I was a heel too on SmackDown. He kind of critiqued it after the match, not the next day, directly after the match. And he just, his criticisms were, we weren't killing each other enough. We weren't physical enough, or whatever, because he was at ringside. And not that we disagreed, but he said, well, didn't you think the match kind of, we got out of what we wanted, the people were extremely happy, everything was good, and he just had things he was critical of. And he says, well, as being a heel, you should do this, you should do that, da da da. He says, you don't have any passion. I remember that was one of those things that really bothered me. He said, you're out there, you said you don't have any passion. He said, you
kind of flippantly, disrespectfully.
Yes,
so?
Yes. You don't have any passion. He said, you're out there. He said, you got to lay into this, that. You don't have any passion. And I was just like, how can you say, you've done a lot, and I respect that. But how can you say that to me, somebody who is given everything I have for this company for the last 4 years?
He's showing really a lack of knowledge. I mean, maybe there's things to criticize you for, but I think that's probably the last thing.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely the last thing. Nobody can question my passion.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God. And he said, well, you don't have any passion. I'm going to teach you how to be a heel because you're not a good heel. And he said, come tomorrow, like real early, 3 o'clock. And I was like, well, I have an appearance or something. There was something I had going on the next day.
Yeah.
I said, I can't be there at that time. He said, well, no, be there at 3. And then what happened is I came in at the regular time that I could come in, and I remember he pitched a fit about it and told Johnny, and Johnny called me to the side, like, why weren't you here? And I said, well, I told him, like, he said, I don't have any passion or whatever. I said, I just, no disrespect to him, but I mean, that's pretty disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
And I said,
it exposes him for not really knowing about not knowing about you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but then he said, well, yeah, I understand that he shouldn't have said that, but that's why I'm in talent relations and he's not. We kind of talked about it for a second, but obviously there was a little friction there. Yeah. But it's like one of those things. Just I would appreciate being spoke to with a little more respect with that, especially considering my tenure here.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with being criticized. I love being criticized. And I love for people watching me work or speak or perform, whatever, and say, well, I think you could do this, think you could do that. But that was a little odd. So I mean, that's really the only thing I can point back as far as it's stemming from that incident.
And there was nothing. I mean, nothing else. I mean,
no.
Just that. You think that, and you think that's things are petty.
Do you have anything else that you think?
No, nothing comes to mind. But it just seems like that would be really petty for that to be the moment that defined how you were treated by people in power.
And then see, I think there was, and Fit was the agent for the girls a lot. Fit and Amy had some problems.
Okay.
At certain times.
And
and me and Amy pretty much were like, as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the WCW transition came in, do you think that when some of the people from WCW came in, John Laurinaitis and Fit Finlay were in that group, do you think that they felt that they had to be loyal to their people and that you were one of the people who kind of were standing in the way or that they had to push aside, and that then you reacted in a certain way and there was tension there because of that merger element?
Possibly, but just still a speculation.
It is speculation, yeah. You would never...
I would never have any idea, it's just...
Yeah.
I mean, because I really didn't have a problem with either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like you were being swearing at each other.
No, not at all.
Seinfeld and Newman.
Not at all.
John, Matt, nothing like that.
Right, not at
Yeah.
all.
So okay, well let's fast forward then back to where you were with V1, and you're going to be in this great program that you're excited